In this episode, we talk about the Delhi LG recommending a probe against Arvind Kejriwal by the National Investigation Agency. We also talk about the allegations against West Bengal Governor C.V. Ananda Bose. But first, we are joined by veteran journalist and contributing editor to the Indian Express, Neerja Chowdhury, to take stock of the Lok Sabha polls so far. Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Over the past few weeks, we have been highlighting some of the biggest issues on the minds of voters, how political parties have been campaigning, and their prospects in different states. Now, with 3 out of the 7 phases behind us, we take a stock of what these Lok Sabha polls have revealed so far. And for this, joining us is Neerja Chowdhury. Neerja, we are talking after 3 phases of this election have been over. Can you begin by telling us, are there things that have now become more clear to us that weren't so at the beginning?
Look, when the election campaign started and the elections were announced, everybody felt it was a done deal. That Narendra Modi was coming back to power, probably with a whopping majority. I will have a third stint in power. And I remember people saying, look, we are not interested in, what happens in the elections. We know that. We are also not so interested in the number. The suspense is on what he will do in his third stint. So that was the kind of talk. Today, after 3 phases, it's not that he's not coming back to power, but the narrative is changing by the day, even as the election progresses. And it is, you hear of takkar. That's the word, in many parts, including North Indian states where people didn't think that the opposition had a chance at all. So when I went to Western UP or Rajasthan or Haryana, people are talking about takkar. Now, I must add at this stage, a takkar does not automatically mean a victory. Because the BJP in the northern states last time had whopping majorities. So they had 5 lakh lead, 4 lakh lead, 3 lakh lead in places. And even if there is a takkar and there seems to be a takkar and the opposition is putting up a fight, then it may come down to 1 lakh lead, it may come down to 50,000 lead. So we don't know, and we must not forget that the BJP has a formidable election machinery as far as the last mile of election is concerned in covering that, which is something that the opposition lacks on the whole.
And Neerja, when we talk about this takkar, is it a formidable one? Something that can actually challenge the BJP?
I won't say a formidable one. I would say more that there isn't a wave of the kind that existed in 2014 or 2019. And other issues are coming to the fore that are exercising people. And they are local issues, they may be local conflicts, they may be strong local candidates. And the wave could subsume this, the last 2 elections, but is not subsuming this in this election. So in many places in Uttar Pradesh, it was Modi versus local. How this will pan out, we don't know. There are communities, for instance, in Uttar Pradesh, like the Rajput community, which was on the warpath. They feel they've not got their share of candidates and representation, and many of them fear that Yogi Adityanath may be sent to Delhi from Lucknow after the elections are over. What is the basis of this apprehension? We don't know, but it was expressed by many people. And therefore, they feel the need to rein in Narendra Modi. So, they don't have their way completely. So this kind of a sentiment, that 400 plus, now that I feel is becoming counterproductive. This slogan of 400 plus has become counterproductive in many ways because number one, the cadre was apathetic. Cadre felt again it's a done deal. Why work hard? So people said that you didn't see the workers on the road, the Jai Shri Ram slogans as used to take place in the past.
And some say that this might be the case with certain voters as well. BJP supporters feeling that why go out in the heat when we know that the party is winning and winning comfortably.
Yes, that is absolutely the case. Number 2, what it's done is there is a message that has gone to the Dalit voter. And that I found in Rajasthan villages, in UP villages, in Maharashtra villages. The Dalit tolas, where people are asking, does this mean our reservation can be done away with? Now, whether Narendra Modi and Amit Shah have gone out of their way to assure them that's not going to happen, but that message and that apprehension has reached the villages. So that, again, it's a dicey business. The other message that's gone is, which I referred to, is a questioning by middle class and several people. These are stray voices, but voices nonetheless, who ask, ज़्यादा तो नहीं हो रहा, थोड़ा हाथ खींच लिया जाए. Should we rein them in? Are we headed towards a one-party system? These kind of fears have been raised through this slogan. So the 400 plus, I feel, has been counterproductive to the BJP. And that seems to be coming, to the fore now.
And Neerja, the last time we spoke, and that was just before the polls began, we had talked about how in this election we don't see that much religious polarization. But that seems to have changed now. The way we have seen PM Modi and the BJP talk about Muslims and the Congress is not something we have seen before. This time it has been very direct. As someone who has been covering BJP for years now, did that surprise you?
No, that it turns to the Hindu-Muslim again doesn't surprise me, because that would have happened at some stage. It's a tried and tested method, and it always yields them dividends, and they feel, use it. So that doesn't surprise me. What did surprise me is the initial bit where people said it's not Hindu-Muslim. The Western UP, where Hindu-Muslim was a major issue in 2014 elections, that area, Muzaffarnagar and Western UP, tells you this is not a Hindu-Muslim election. Candidates say that. In fact, to be honest, I didn't meet one single person on my trip to Western UP who said that it is a Hindu-Muslim election. In fact, some people said we are tired of this Hindu-Muslim business. We have to live as neighbors. We have to get on with other things. And they were looking more at Modi as the issue. Modi the leader, Modi the deliverer of things, those who were for and those who were not for. And after the first two phases, it has turned Hindu-Muslim. Now, what surprised me is the assertiveness with which the Prime Minister has flagged it. His Banswara speech that the benefits of development will go to those who are infiltrators or those who have more children. Very directly he's alluded to the Muslim community again and again and again. Muslim appeasement, and that I don't think has happened in the past election. So this has surprised me.
पहले जब उनकी सरकार थी उन्होंने कहा था कि देश की संपत्ति पर पहला अधिकार मुसलमानों का है. इसका मतलब ये संपत्ति इकट्ठी करके किसको बांटेंगे? जिनके ज्यादा बच्चे हैं उनको बांटेंगे. घुसपैठियों को बांटेंगे. क्या आपकी मेहनत की कमाई का पैसा घुसपैठियों को दिया जाएगा?
What does it mean? Of course, they want to consolidate the Hindus behind them. But it is not having the kind of traction that it used to have in the past.
And what does it say about the BJP that it feels the need to do this? Is it just something that is tried and tested for them? Or does it speak to a certain insecurity as well?
They may have hoped that the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya in January would be the Pulwama of 2024. And found that's not the case. And, if you talk to people, people are very happy about the Ram Mandir being built. They plan to go there or they've been there. So it's not that the Hindus are not happy. But if you ask them, why are you voting for the BJP? Their first answer will be 370 or something to do with the Prime Minister. They, on the whole, don't mention Ram Mandir. And if they do, it is down in the list of why they will do it. So while they are happy, it is not a voter determinant in the way the BJP might have expected it to be. Therefore, the narrative is only record of the last 5 years. Now, record of the last 5 years for any incumbent government without a new narrative added to it becomes, I won't say problematic, but not as new a thing to sell as, say, Pulwama was or the nationalistic fervor was in 2019 after the surgical strikes and Indo-Pak became an issue. Those are emotive things. So this time around, the new narrative around an emotive issue was not there. And therefore, that may be a reason why the BJP has gone back to what I call the tried and tested method.
And we've been talking about the BJP, but now let's talk about the Congress. There has been a lot of talk about the Amethi and Raebareli seats, which have been the Congress bastions. Amethi, for the first time in 25 years, is being contested by a non-Gandhi, and Rahul, in a surprise twist, is contesting from Raebareli instead, along with Wayanad. Now, the Congress left this till the very last minute. Would you say that it made the Congress look unconfident, or would you say that it just made them look a bit cautious or even strategic?
If you ask my view, I personally think that Rahul Gandhi should have contested from Amethi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra should have contested from Raebareli. Because those two seats are associated with the revival of the Congress party in Uttar Pradesh. And unless the party gets them back, it's a very different message going out there. And without reviving in the Hindi heartland equal to Uttar Pradesh, which has been the Karm Bhumi of the Gandhi family, that signal will not go. Revival in the rest of the country is not going to be a reality. So the two seats are very symbolic in many ways. Now, Rahul Gandhi, what is his USP, unique selling point? Rahul Gandhi's unique selling point is that he is very forthright about what he believes in. He doesn't care. He's courageous. He takes on Modi. He'll tell him what is what and so on. He doesn't worry about the consequences. Go from Amethi to Raebareli, a safer seat, not risk, and it would have been a risk, taking on Smriti Irani, and the possibility. Many people feel he would have won. But the possibility of a defeat takes away from Rahul Gandhi's USP.
Yeah, with this, he's avoiding taking on Smriti Irani. He's opting for the safer choice.
The safer way. Then there is, I find, suppose he will have to give up one. Which one will he give up? Suppose he gives up Wayanad, which many believe he will. The Wayanad people did not know when they voted for him that he was going to also stand from Raebareli.
Right, when he made the decision to stand from Raebareli, the voting in Wayanad was already over.
That's right. Many people have stood from two constituencies. His grandmother, Indira Gandhi, stood from two constituencies. In 1980, Raebareli and Medak, she chose to retain Medak and give up Raebareli. But the people of the constituencies knew this. So also with our Prime Minister, when he chose Vadodara and Varanasi in 2014. So how will the people of Wayanad feel? And also remember, there is a north-south angle to this. If you give up Wayanad in the south in preference for Raebareli in the north at the time when the north-south issues are coming to the fore, the southern states are already talking about tax terrorism. They are already talking about delimitation in 2026, lowering the number of their Lok Sabha seats, and the number of Lok Sabha seats in the northern states is likely to go up. Rahul Gandhi, who has talked about north-south issues and unity, giving up southern Wayanad for northern Raebareli, to my mind, may not be such a happy thing. Now, if he gives up Raebareli and retains Wayanad, then people will say, why did you stand for elections in the first place? Why didn't you have somebody else? Now, it is said that Priyanka, his sister, might stand for whichever the constituency he vacates and gives up in the bypoll that follows. Now, that may be like a compensation and people may not feel so happy. But I would think, why not Priyanka? She's 52. Rahul is fighting his fifth election. She is connecting with people. She is into active politics for the last 5 years. Why should she not contest?
Yeah, there was so much talk about her making her electoral debut this time, but she chose not to.
And Rahul, suppose he didn't want to contest from Amethi, that's fine. But he could have just contested in Wayanad and left. This is my view.
But you're right, she has been campaigning for the party. She has been taking on Narendra Modi. But some people point to the fact that in the UP polls of 2022, she was the face of the Congress campaign, but they ended up losing miserably. And then there are others who say that she does not have enough ground experience. Is that something you agree with?
Well, she's nurtured the constituencies of her brother and mother for a long time, Raebareli and Amethi. And if you go by what the party is saying about her campaigning, and having seen her myself, she has a mass connect. I mean, her one-liners, replies to Narendra Modi are going down very well with people.
ऐसी हरकतें इन्होंने की हैं, ऐसे अपराध किए हैं, हजारों वीडियो निकले हैं। और क्या पता चला कि जिसने अपराध किया उसके साथ मोदी जी मंच पे खड़े होकर उसके लिए वोट मांग रहे थे। मंच पे खड़े होकर मोदी जी ने कहा कि इनको वोट दीजिए, ये हमारे को इनको जिताइए। वही अपराधी देश से भाग के निकल गया, किसी ने रोका नहीं। बहनों और भाइयों, मोदी जी ने नहीं रोका, उनके अमित शाह जी ने नहीं रोका, उनको निकलने दिया। जहां महिलाओं पे अपराध हुआ है, चाहे हाथरस में यूपी में हुआ, मैं गई थी उस महिला के घर, उसकी
And remember, Priyanka in Raebareli, she wins that this time around. It's true, last time when she was leading the party in Uttar Pradesh, they did not do well at all. Things are changing. And to revive Uttar Pradesh, somewhere they have to take the bull by the horn. And they may have to even risk defeat. I mean, you don't get, when the party is completely down and out organizationally, it's decimated. Somewhere you have to start to build it up and do it determinedly. And I see some live thing now happening. Congress seems to be getting its act together. You may agree with what they're doing or disagree, but there's certainly much more, there's a determination that you see coming through.
And Neerja, talking about the opposition, you recently interviewed the NCP chief, Sharad Pawar, one of the tallest leaders in the opposition at the moment. And in this interview, he said that the regional parties will move closer, or in some cases, even merge with the Congress going forward. And he even hinted that his own party might consider doing that. Talk about where he's coming from and how significant is that statement?
I think that's a very significant futuristic statement, because he's talking in the next couple of years or even earlier. He's pointing towards a bipolar politics now, and that regional parties are also transiting into, to the next generation. Mulayam Singh Yadav has given way to an Akhilesh Yadav, the son. Lalu to Tejasvi Yadav, YSR to Jagan Reddy, and so on. If you look at all the parties, some of these parties have socialist bases. Some of these parties came out of the Congress. But these are small parties which are under attack for dynasty and for corruption. And the BJP, if it comes back to power, is going to continue with its onslaught against these parties, as we've seen in recent months also. So smaller parties may want a bigger umbrella under which they function together to take on this mighty BJP. And that could be, will Jagan Reddy, he faces Chandrababu Naidu's TDP in Andhra Pradesh. Chandrababu Naidu has tied up with the BJP. Will he now reach out to the Congress? Will they collaborate with each other? So, will it lead to a strengthening of this Congress larger family? It could be mergers. Certainly, I got the impression, talking to Sharad Pawar, that merging his NCP within the Congress, if it is done in an honorable way, collectively, would be something that he's looking at. So, does it lead to the creation of a more federated Congress? Which has relationship. There may be people who come in and has a relationship with others which are close, and therefore it cannot be the Congress of yesteryears, moving like a big brother. It has to be a very different Congress which works together with these regional parties and gives them their due place also.
Though, wouldn't you agree that it's hard to imagine such a scenario with the Gandhis still at the helm, with the kind of influence the Gandhis continue to have?
That is the question mark. But as Sharad Pawar said in this interview to me, that he found Rahul Gandhi very different. The way he reached out to the regional parties, and he talked about the meeting he'd come over and had a discussion with him. So he felt that Rahul might be able to do this. That's why I say the leadership of the Congress and the kind of leadership the Congress provides in the new situation, whether they shift gear, whether they move away from the past ways of doing things, much will depend on all that, because certainly the regional parties will view the Congress with wariness, because at the end of the day, they grew at the expense of the Congress. And if Congress starts to grow, they'll fear that it'll be at their expense. So how this will be synthesized remains to be seen. But the challenge posed by the BJP is so humongous, and they realize that it is going to affect their existence in the future, that they may consider coming together. And I think that is the upshot of what Sharad Pawar was trying to say.
And next we talk about Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who has been lodged in Tihar jail for the past 50 days as one of the accused in the Delhi excise duty case. Now today, the Supreme Court is expected to hear Kejriwal's bail plea. But even as this unfolds, it appears that more trouble awaits the Chief Minister. And this is because earlier this week, the Delhi Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena recommended a probe by the National Investigation Agency against him for allegedly receiving political funding for his party from the banned extremist organization Sikhs for Justice, an allegation that the party has actually faced in the past as well. To know more about this recommendation and how the party has responded to these allegations, Indian Express's Jatin Anand joins us. So Jatin, tell us, on what basis has the Delhi LG, V.K. Saxena, recommended an NIA probe against Kejriwal?
So this particular case is based on a complaint that Delhi LG V.K. Saxena has received from somebody claiming to be part of an organization called the World Hindu Federation of India. And the allegation against Kejriwal is that he, as the head of the Aam Aadmi Party, has accepted funding for the AAP from the banned / proscribed pro-Khalistani group Sikhs for Justice, which is led by Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, and who has been declared a terrorist by the government of India. And this allegation is related to a trip that Mr. Kejriwal had made in 2014 to New York, where he is alleged to have had a closed-door meeting with Khalistani sympathizers and others who were related to or somehow connected with SFJ.
And Jatin, this complaint was filed by this man named Ashu Mongia. He's the National General Secretary of the organization you mentioned, the World Hindu Federation of India. And he actually made this complaint after watching a particular video by Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. Talk about what this video was.
The video in question reiterates several allegations that Pannu has made against the Aam Aadmi Party in general and Arvind Kejriwal in particular about receiving several tranches of funds from pro-Khalistani groups between the years 2014 and 2022. The genesis of the transfer of these funds, according to the video and according to these allegations, lies in a meeting that Kejriwal allegedly had with representatives of such groups during a trip to New York in the year 2014. According to Pannu, he had started accepting different tranches of these donations from these groups, which by 2022 totaled to $16 million in separate tranches. And according to Pannu, according to the allegations that he makes in the video, he also talks about that Kejriwal had not only met representatives of such groups in Punjab, but also in the US, and has had links with them through meetings that representatives of the Aam Aadmi Party have had with their representatives at various locations abroad.
Right, and like you said, these allegations have been made in the past as well. How has the Aam Aadmi Party reacted to them now?
The Aam Aadmi Party has retaliated very aggressively to these allegations by bringing to its defense the fact that a similar allegation had been made by Charanjit Singh Channi, who had been temporarily put in charge of Punjab prior to the assembly elections in 2022. He had, in fact, written to Union Home Minister Amit Shah alleging that the Aam Aadmi Party had links with pro-Khalistani groups and their sympathizers in India, not only in India but also abroad. And it is then that Mr. Shah had assured Mr. Channi that he will get these allegations looked into. But this particular complaint, it makes the same allegations, but the complainant is different. That is also one of the defenses that the Aam Aadmi Party has put up, which is that they claim that the complainant in this case, this Mr. Ashu Mongia, who is the National General Secretary of the World Hindu Federation, that this person is not only connected to the BJP, but it seemingly works for, as part of this organization, seemingly works for the family member of a very senior Bharatiya Janata Party leader. And apart from this, they have also questioned on the basis of what has this investigation been launched or will be launched, because we are talking about the allegations of an alleged leader of a terrorist organization, a group, SFJ, which has been proscribed by the government of India. So how is it, and on the basis of what logic is it that the government of India is listening to these allegations and is possibly believing them to the extent that it is in favor of investigating these alleged links between the Aam Aadmi Party and pro-Khalistani groups?
And Jatin, this is yet another example of tensions between the Delhi LG and the Aam Aadmi Party. And we've seen these tensions pretty much since the party came to power in Delhi. In fact, the previous two LGs had quit their post. But in what sense would you say tensions under the current LG, VK Saxena, have been different compared to those before him?
So while looking at this, while answering this, one has to look at the fact that Vinay Kumar Saxena is the first non-bureaucrat Lieutenant Governor that Delhi has had. If you look at his tenure since May 2022, most of the big vigilance-related or corruption-related allegations which have been investigated, which have reached their point of fruition, they could not have progressed to this point where they would finally lead to almost the entirety of the Aam Aadmi Party's senior leadership being behind bars, including Mr. Kejriwal himself. So this has to be said, this has to be factored in while talking about the relationship between Raj Nivas and the Delhi government over the last 2 years. So Mr. Saxena has not only been the face of the continuing tussle, but also somewhat the settlement of that tussle, which had carried on continuously since the Aam Aadmi Party came to power in 2015. Matters which were related to the administration of the city, especially services, that is, who has control over the bureaucracy and who has control over transfers, postings and vigilance-related matters. All of those things were finally settled when the centre brought in an ordinance which created the NCCSA, the National Capital Civil Services Authority, which, although is chaired by the Chief Minister as its chairperson, but it has two bureaucrats who are picked by the centre. So over there is somewhat of an imbalance when it comes to a quorum or, who will have a majority in that sense, because there are two bureaucrats who are picked by the centre. And then if you look at it factually and logically speaking, there is only the Chief Minister of Delhi who can represent himself. And even in this situation, if there is something that the authority cannot decide and there is no consensus, finally it is the LG who will have the final say in this. So in that sense, this particular association or this particular instance of the partnership between the Lieutenant Governor Secretariat and the elected Aam Aadmi Party government or the elected government in Delhi, Mr. Saxena's tenure has so far perhaps been the only one of its kind where Raj Nivas has been able to score over and more or less keep the Delhi government on a back foot.
And in the end, we talk about West Bengal Governor C.V. Ananda Bose, who last week was accused by a contractual employee of the Raj Bhavan of molesting her. Bose, while dismissing the allegations, has called it a sinister plot. A recorded statement released by the Raj Bhavan said that the governor was aware of the allegations made against him by a political force, but he would not be deterred from his efforts to expose corruption and curb violence. In fact, yesterday, the governor showed CCTV footage of the premises to around 70 people. The Raj Bhavan released the 79-minute CCTV footage from the 2nd of May when the alleged incident took place. Now, the footage shown by the Raj Bhavan authorities included recordings from 2 cameras in front of the North Gate, in which the woman can be seen. Though it's crucial to note that according to the woman, the Bengal governor touched her in the conference room, and the CCTV footage does not show anything from inside the Raj Bhavan. According to sources, 75 people called and registered to watch the footage, including those from Kolkata, Kunj Bihar and Alipurdwar. After the allegations of molestation came to light, Governor Bose said the charges were engineered narratives and criticized Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and her Trinamool Congress. Bose also wrote to the Raj Bhavan employees last Sunday asking them to ignore any communication from the police on the matter. He told them that no criminal proceedings can be instituted against the governor during his term of office. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.